Hey everybody, I wanted to spend some time refactoring the Maze Explorer code. I've already done the large part of the refactor in that game data, which has all of the code that deals with the business logic of a game, has been moved into its own assembly Maze Explorer game and is consumed by Maze Explorer UI. Maze Explorer UI has all of the screen renderers and how to and audio, and here's it drawing whatever, and so that's all cool. So it's completely separate, but game data itself is the pure internal representation and state of the game, completely abstracted away from how it is being rendered. That's one of my things about a lot of modern game frameworks. Sort of treat the thing on the screen is really the thing, and whereas what the kinds of games that I make are not, it's not that. It is, conceptually a thing at a particular location interacting with other things at that location and so on. But it's there's a representation of it in our state, and then there's the rendering of it, and you can change the renderer out, and it's very, and there's no you don't have to take anything out of this code. This can be taken into a different. I could make another assembly, and very likely will, based on monogame. So that'll be a monogame renderer, but I won't have to change my actual Maze Explorer game code. However, this has gotten to be, we're at 339 lines, and that's quite a few, and it's time to fix it. And first things first, let's do with some easy ones. I have all of these values. They're lumped here together, and so I at least did a good job on let's put them off all on their own. But and it doesn't really matter where they are. It's just we want them to not be raw numbers elsewhere in the code. And speaking of raw numbers, we should probably try to tackle those in a minute, but that's neither here nor there. So we're going to add a new source file, and let's call that constants. And we're going to take that, and these are just naked old numbers. We're going to take you out, put you in constants, and move you up. And we'll let the compiler figure out. Of course, the build failed. So, all right. Be all these places where more or less I have a choice here. I can say open constants, and that should take care of all that. So cool. Next thing, I just since I've been coding for so long, I tend to sort of naturally group things together in such a way that the refactor later is okay, and then take this next section and copy it out. So this is the next part that has to deal with difficulty settings, and one of the things here is we've got some we have some magic numbers, and we don't want magic numbers. So we have easy hourglass, easy, normal, hard, hourglasses, and swords. And let's put that, let easy hourglass count equal 6. Let normal hourglass count equal 5. Let hard hourglass equal 4. And we'll do the same thing for swords. I know a lot of people would do a find and replace inside of a selection, and these were 5, 4, 3. So 5, 4, 3. We will replace those. Hourglass count. Whatever that word was. We take care of that. Put our normal in here. Hard. We could spell the word hard. Okay. So neat. Cool. Alright. Then also, I think we can take all of this stuff and throw it into its own file. Add new item. We'll just call it difficulty. Move that up. Copy that out. Put that in there. Open difficulty. We should be fine. Can we build? Build failed. What doesn't it like? Ah, see? Open constants. Build failed again. Alright, now what? Uppercase, blah, 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 blah. Oh, yep. Open game data. Open difficulty. Try it again. Increase difficulty. I think something in our game setting options, it doesn't like it. And really, I don't think it needs game data anymore. Does it? No. See, now there are a bunch of things where I'm really confusing the compiler. So in the play screen renderer, we're going to open difficulty. I'm going to keep throwing open difficulty at these errors until such time as they all go away. We're down to 14. So that's needed. Oh, that's constants. Oh, GameData.timeLimit is not correct anymore. Time limit is in constants, and we're now normal. Open difficulty. Are we good? We succeeded. Can we run? We can run. Cool. Alright. So that for our next little bit, kind of subdivide it, because here's sound and game events. Here are items and counters. I think, okay, this I don't think needs to be exactly here. It does. So this is stuff dealing with state. Does this stuff where does this need to be? Okay, right there. Do we build? And we do. Okay. So items counters state. So these three things, and these are kind of get directly dependent on by state. And we have the paused explorer state, but I really think these guys can go up in here. Make sure we still build. And we do. Okay. So there's that. Not explorer state and game state. So okay, this is item generation. Game state is kind of its own thing. Where does this get used? Not until way down there. So then explorer state. Can go right here by these. And what causes dead? One game. Where's one game? Game get counter. I don't think. So okay, we will get the bits that we currently have. As a game event is meant to encapsulate things other than playing sounds, just other sorts of notifications. It really should be game notification. But at the moment it's just a hair play a sound. So we'll just call that, so we'll call it game event. Game event. So that game events. Let's see. We'll call it notifications. And let's take that stuff. Notifications. And move it here. And let the compiler do our thinking for us. Now we should just be able to open notifications. Up, yep, and move that up there. Up where are we at? Up the game state needs Explorer state. Yep, this is what typically will get us into trouble. So that needs to happen before game state, although we may get to rethink about this because I don't exactly have an Explorer state. The game over screen isn't currently implemented, and we may decide to chop it. As a matter of fact, because it's not currently in use, why are we bothering? Put this stuff back where we found it. We're going to chop that as well. We're going to find a bunch of errors. So what's our failure? Unlocked door. Open notifications. Game event is now in notifications. Is no game over screen. It's actually the game over screen renderer. Go on. Game render input. Go on. Are we referencing it somewhere else though? And yes, sir. Goodbye. And we'll put that back in once we want to have a real game over screen. Because I do want to have a real game over screen. And my game over screen, though, has to do with score and assessing how you did in the game overall, not just the play state with however it ended. And that was what I did in my initial draft of it. So I'm going to refactor. So we delete out code that is no longer necessary or useful, and that's a good thing. And already we've got this down to 308. Okay, so we're only down 32 lines of code, but that's still 32 lines of code, and things. Hey, here's constants. Hey, here's all the stuff dealing with difficulties. Hey, here are notifications. So the next bit, I'm going to add a new item called state. And state is going to get these three guys, because these three guys are state here. There's going to be plenty of places where I think we need to open state, but alright. Okay. So what is treasure? Do I have an opening state? Open state. Call it state. I'm wondering if I'm clashing with something here. Ow. Okay. So it wasn't a problem with that at all. So state itself is having a problem, so I open location. That way this bad boy can compile. And now I can open state here. And that stuff will get, we'll get further along anyway. It'll probably still fail at something else. So, failure. We're down to 12. Rule will never be matched. So, loot. So we have a lot of angry things going on here. Let's open state. Let's see how many that clears up. Oh, still work? Okay, cool. Alright. Close all this junk out because it gets too much clutter. We start to get, we're under 200 now. We are, we're at 284. So neat. Just wanted to go through and go, this is how I go about refactoring my F# code, and I will continue to do this, but you get the idea. So you take related pieces, you move them into their own FS files, and eventually it'll get to a point where everything has a limited number of things, and while that's there's the whole, I have to go in and find stuff, adding a new item type, adding a new counter type, it's going to be relatively simple. You do have to know where stuff is, and it's not all in one file, but even in the one file, there are plenty of times where I'm looking, going, where's the place where I get the time life, because I had to refactor that a little while ago. But so, just wanted to run down that, and I'll have this cleaned up by the next little release. And this is a thing I always do. I just put 1.6 up on the GitHub repository, as well as GameJolt. Very first thing I do after I cut a release is increment the version and actually check it in. It is checked in. This is very this is somewhat different than the way a lot of developers do it, but I find that it's better. It's like, I'm currently working on version 1.7. Version 1.6 is done. It's out the door. It's shipped. It's someplace out there, and this is just how I do it. So I hope this has been educational on some level, and thank you so much for watching.